Radio Free 102.3. Thank you, Bobo. KJLH, KJLHradio.com. That's where you can find us. And we are being joined now by President Emeritus of Bennett College for Women. She's an economist, an author, a commentator. She's popular, man. She has appeared in USA Today, Ms. Magazine, Essence Magazine, and many, many more. Of course, you've seen her on CNN. I know I have. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, good morning, Queen.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you today?
I'm dragging a little bit. I'm not going to lie. How are you?
Well, you know, you've got that schedule. It's 5 o'clock in the morning in L.A.
Yeah. No, I got my second shot over the weekend, and it's taking me a minute to bounce back. I had planned, I think, one day. But that's...
No, it took me about 3. I mean, it was really... when I had my second shot, the first one was easy peasy. The second one... I mean, I came in the house and I took my suit off and put some sweats on, and I sat down in my chair, and I fell asleep in the chair.
Wow.
I put some food in the microwave, thinking I'm going to just go, get these suit pants off and put on some leggings. And when I woke up, it was like 11 o'clock. And obviously the food had to be thrown away. The next thing you know, I'm running a fever, and my arm is like twice its size, and I'm sweating. It took me about 3 days to get over it. It was unpleasant. But, now I'm free. I can go places. I can do things. So, some sister friends had a gathering, all of us over 60, all vaccinated, sit in the backyard, drinking wine and eating barbecue and just enjoying ourselves. So, I mean, I miss that. I miss people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so no regrets, even though you had to go through that and discomfort.
No regrets. I wish my immune system was not as apparently. I called urgent care. I was so bad off. I called urgent care, and they said, "Oh, give it another 48 hours."
Yeah.
And I had 48 hours. I was fine.
Yeah.
So they were right. You just gotta. No regrets. I can't risk, getting this thing. And so the vaccine is important. And I just wish that more of us, especially, I mean, I have a sibling who refuses, my brother refuses to get vaccinated, refuses to wear a mask. So,
wow. Okay, so I can understand the vaccination thing, because I really think that's each person's choice. But I don't understand the anti-mask thing. You're protecting another person or other people.
Well, my brother is just, I always call him don't ask, don't tell. You don't ask me nothing about it, I ain't going to tell you. But it's funny because, his birthday was in February. He wants to see my mom. My mom can't take the vaccine because she's 93. She has all these complicating factors, and she's had 3 strokes. So her doctor said she can't take the vaccine, but no one who has not been vaccinated should be around her. So it's have to wear masks. So I shouldn't call my brother stupid ass, but stupid ass won't wear a mask. So his birthday came. He wanted to see his mother on his birthday, of course. And my sister, who's in charge, and we've all agreed she's in charge. She's taking care of mom. It's anything is up on her. Nobody is interfering with her decision. Her decision is, brother, you have to wear a mask, which we all agree with. He won't wear it. So he comes over on his birthday to see his mother, and no hats. My sister
Heartbreaking. Yeah, I mean, I just went through my first Mother's Day without my mom, and we couldn't say goodbye to her. Thank you, because she was in the hospital, and they wouldn't let you in because of COVID, and she was in a nursing home. They wouldn't let you in because of COVID. So it makes me wish people would at least wear the mask, just to protect other people. That's not anything that's going to harm you.
It's not that much to do. But brother idiot. My sister wheels my mom up to the gate, and he's on the other side of the iron gate, and she passes him a piece of cake through the gate, and he's like, "You not gonna let me come in?" She's like, "No, put the mask on. All you have to do is put the mask on." He wouldn't do it. I don't get it. He claims that it's some kind of plot, but my brother's a conspiracy theorist. I don't even know how we're related.
Well, you know what? Bobby Jean Anderson is on the phone. I don't know if you know Bobby Jean Anderson. She's one of our local heroes. She's been very active in the Democratic Party as a delegate, as a county official, as a state official, as an organizer. Bobby Jean Anderson is calling from L.A. Good morning, Bobby Jean.
Good morning, Dominique. Good morning.
You're on with Dr. Julianne Malveaux.
I'm pleased to, hear her voice. And I've met her through my Congresswoman Maxine Waters several times. So I have lots of admiration for her.
So you wanted to say something about
for Dominique, I wanted to let you know I was responding to your request to call in if you've had the vaccinations, and I've had both. I had the Moderna, and as you know, at my age, I have underlying conditions, so I was lucky enough to get in and get vaccinated in March, and I was lucky enough not to have any major issues, reactions from the the vaccination.
Oh, good.
So, I'm sorry that you're having issues, but I'll pray for you, and I hope you get, better. And I want to wish you a belated Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Much love to you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I do think everyone has to make their own choices, and I think it's interesting for us to, talk and share the way people are thinking about this, especially now they've approved for 12 to 15-year-olds.
Yes, I have a 15-year-old granddaughter, and I'm just waiting because everyone else in the household has had the vaccination, so she'll be eligible, I think.
Yeah, well, and I think some parents are just not feeling it. I know. And I understand that. I mean, you're talking about putting something into your child's body that's still only been tested, it's still only been approved for emergency use. At the same time, there's plenty of arguments to do it. So I'm just interested to see where people are. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Malveaux?
I mean, I agree with you. It is a personal choice about what you're going to do. But I think in terms of the young people, the more of them that get vaccinated, the quicker we get back to school. So, it's a mixed choice. I was just reading an article about people who had actually left their homes and moved someplace because they could get schooling, in-person schooling. A family in Portland, Oregon, moved to Alaska, to a town that had 6,000 people because they were going to have in-person school. So I think it's a personal choice. I just wish people would just do it. It's a pain in the but I think it does make a difference. My biggest concern from an empirical standpoint is they say that Pfizer, Moderna are 95% effective. So what happens to the other 5%? I'm concerned about that.
Well, they get very sick or they die. I mean, that's what it's effective 95% against the most extreme outcomes of COVID, which is extreme illness or death. So I think that's probably what happens to them. Bobby Jean, appreciate the call. Anything you wanted to add while we have you?
No, that's it, Dominique. And just be better and feel better.
Oh, I'll be fine. You know me. I'm tough.
All right.
We don't die. We multiply.
Yeah. She'll bounce back tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Dr. Malveaux, I opened up the show talking about a whole bunch of things. I feel like I take a day or two off around here, and it's just there's so much to cover. Certainly, the escalation in the Gaza Strip is the most. It's hard to say what's the most concerning, and I don't like to be on some doom and gloom. But the escalation in the Gaza Strip is extremely problematic for the world, for the Middle East, and definitely for this new administration and their goals as well.
Absolutely. I mean, but you know what? When we are here in the United States, we often say no justice, no peace. That's what's going on in Israel/Gaza Strip. This is going to keep going on until they either have a two-state solution or until Palestinians are treated fairly. I'm not endorsing violence, but I'm saying, imagine anybody who's listening, imagine yourself, Dominique, living in a house for, I don't know, decades, and then someone comes and says, get out because we're taking this over. You know, these settlements have basically displaced people, and displaced people are not happy. And so, and Netanyahu has exacerbated this because he's trying to keep power, so he's keeping up junk. So it is a problem for the world. It's a problem for the United States. But Israel has been a problem for the world since it was established. Taking land from one set of people and giving it to other sets of people. I don't know if people know that at one point they had proposed putting a Jewish settlement in Uganda. Okay? Uganda. And obviously in the wake of Hitler, we're looking for a safe place for Jewish people, and that's good. But the terms and conditions of the settlement have never been clear.
See, and I've had these conversations where they say, okay, well, there was a war, there were borders drawn, this is what it is. And I understand that. And I do understand that there's not even a question of whether Israel has a right to exist. Of course they have a right to exist. But and part of what makes this so problematic to me is the way it's reported on in the press here in the United States. So people don't really understand it. That, in fact, Palestinians are being oppressed. I mean, in extreme ways, like they're being policed by another country, even though they are a unique nation. They're not recognized as a nation.
No, I mean, that's why the two-state solution is the best solution. Let the Palestinians have their space. Let the Israelis have their space. Let them be two countries that are mutually respectful. What I see, and this goes back a bazillion years, but, I wrote my senior honors thesis on, like I said, it goes back many years, but on people who had commanded UN troops in Israel and in the Gaza Strip, and there were like three of them. One was a Norwegian guy. Anyway, they all talked about the Israeli aggression towards the Palestinians, and that still exists. Israel fights for its right to exist, but they deny Palestinians their right to exist, and therein, to me, lies the problem.
Well, and when I talk about the press, what I'm saying is that many times if you talk about the rights of Palestinians, people automatically say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. But criticism of Israel is not the same as anti-Semitism. And to me, Netanyahu is like their Trump, except he just won't go away. And he definitely makes it worse if you have a far right-wing, militaristic regime in power. Any nation is going to go in a direction that's problematic. And you combine that with the historical conflict between Palestinians and Israelis, and you have a toxic combination that's going to end up in these human rights abuses, which is what we're seeing, and which is what we've been seeing. And when the reports on the war, even reading the report on what's going on right now, it sounds like it's, one side against the other side, and they're going back and forth, but one side has airplanes with bombs and the other side has rockets. So it's not really tit for tat.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, criticizing Israel, and you made the point, I want to emphasize the point, criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. And a lot of people believe it is. So if you say anything, I remember years pre-pandemic, I had said something on CNN, and I'm at the airport, and this lovely older Jewish woman walked up to me and said hello, and I said hello, and then she just went off on me. She said, "You hate Jews." No, I don't hate Jews. I'm not putting up with the nonsense from from Israel, but I don't hate Jews. But it was one of those, how you're like, what just happened? Well, basically what has happened is people do not want, folks who are critical. We've seen so many examples, going off on Angela Davis in Birmingham over her stance on Israel. So many situations where you're like, excuse me, really?
I mean, look at what happened with my dad. My dad wrote a poem, and they basically shut down his career for a decade by saying he was anti-Semitic, which my father was not. I mean, when he was young, he wrote some poems, which he later apologized for. But that's not what was happening and later in his life. It was the same thing. Well, you can't criticize Israel because that means you're anti-Semitic. And I think we really have to push back on that, especially right now when we're seeing, this escalation, which would hopefully lead to an opportunity for some progress, if nothing else. Because I think people are more sophisticated now than they were 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago.
Some people are, and what I'm enjoying is the Jewish people who basically are saying, "Come on, y'all." You've seen Jewish people now step up and say this is wrong, and so that's a good thing. And it's something for us all to enjoy and appreciate. But at the same time, what's going to end up happening is there's going to be 5 times as many Palestinians killed as Israelis. This will give Israel the opportunity to try to push back on borders and to create more settlements, which is going to escalate the level of violence that exists. People are not going to just sit by and let their stuff, their homes, be taken from them. And that's what's been happening. And it's been happening since 1948.
5:37 in the morning. I'm going to go to Leo calling us from L.A. Hi, Leo.
Good morning, Front Page. Good morning, Dominique. Good morning, Yes. Just my thought on the vaccine is dealing with black people. The issue is there's been so much testing on us, and there's been so much ill will towards us from just the medical field in general. That's why I think those generations that have been hearing about the Tuskegee experiment, other things like that, wonder what is going on with this vaccination. What will it do to us? And people really have to understand that it's a for-profit business as well. They're not going to give you the secret to what's in the vaccination. That would be great. But
you can find out a lot. You're not going to go cook some up yourself. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the controversy right now is that Bill Gates, who is primarily a predatory capitalist, doesn't want to give out the recipe to other countries because he wants to keep the profit for the U.S. pharmaceuticals. And surprisingly, at least to me, the Biden administration has supported sharing these recipes. But you're right. I mean, we have a problematic relationship with the medical establishment, and I don't think there's anything wrong with us giving things the side eye. By the way, and being skeptical, but you can find out a lot more than most of us know. That's what I know.
Yeah, you can. But the thing is that when it comes down to promoting it and saying we need to take the virus, now I'm the vaccine. Excuse me. When promoting it and say, hey, I want you guys to take it. It's going to protect everybody, and that's a great thing. But at the same time, the medical field has to say, in some culpability. I've never heard it. We were, our forefathers did this, and we're sorry about that.
Do you know if has that ever happened, Dr. Malveaux? Have we ever had a formal apology from like the American Medical Association? Or I'm not aware of one.
No, nothing from the medical establishment. In his presidency, did apologize for the Tuskegee experiments, with the syphilis. He did apologize for that, but the medical establishment has more than Tuskegee blood on its hands. So let's go back and look at the practice of gynecology, where enslaved black women were turned into experiments for a deranged doctor. And we can go down the list and look at the many ways that our people have been experimented on. So I think the brother is right in his assessment that, the medical establishment has never really embraced and apologized for their role in the subjugation of black people.
Maybe we need some medical reparations too, Dr. Malveaux.
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
And we have been, but let me tell you what I told my crazy brother. He said, I said, dude, they have experimented on them. So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that they've been experimented on to take this vaccine. Because many of them took the vaccine before we did. And the bottom line on all of that, frankly, is, history, basically, the past is prologue on one hand. On the other hand, there's no evidence that black folks react differently to this vaccine than anybody else does. And there are millions now, 100-some million people have been vaccinated. There's no evidence of that. So, be skeptical, be critical, and get your vaccine.
Yeah, this interesting point, Leo. I mean, just about the apology and what the medical establishment really owes to Black America. You mentioned the experimentation on enslaved women by gynecologists. I mean, these stories abound. Way back when I was an undergraduate, I wrote a paper for Professor Angela Davis's class about the forced sterilization of women, black women in this country and also in Puerto Rico, and how this medical establishment sterilized hundreds of black women without their permission when they were in the hospital for other stuff. And that was an eye-opener for me. And those, so I think, to your point, every newscast says Tuskegee experiment, but it ain't just that. It might be the experiment that happened to you last time you went to the hospital. So point is well taken. Lolo from Compton.
I was just wanting to say about Cicely Tyson, Hank Aaron, and Reverend Price. We heard that they took the vaccination, but nobody heard that they died. The only person that they mentioned, they mentioned Hank Aaron and Cicely Tyson, but I didn't hear anything about Reverend Price. And so it just makes me wonder about this shot that they want us to take.
Okay, I know that the Hank Aaron story was not reported accurately. What happens a lot of times, people die and then they say, well, they had the vaccine. Well, yeah, they may have had the vaccine, but what else was going on with them? With Reverend Price, I didn't hear that. I missed that story. Are they saying that Reverend Price died from the vaccine?
They're not saying that. They're just saying that they're letting you know that people took the shot, but they're not really letting people know that they died. So I'm wondering, did he die from the shot or was it something else?
That's not my understanding. He was, almost, he was 90, 89, 90. He was an elder man. I do not believe that he died from that shot. I think it would have been all over everywhere. And most of the people that die when they have the shot either have something else going on, like they're already sick with multiple things. So I don't believe that, I'm not going to say no one's ever died from the shot, but I don't think that Reverend Price died from that. That's not my understanding. I would have to get more information. Do you have any information about that, Dr. Malveaux?
I really don't. But, I think that when people die after 90, they died of old age.
Yeah.
I mean, often you have speculation someone is of a certain age. After they have lived their life. Let's celebrate their life, and let's speculate about why they died.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. You always want to live as long as you can, but I get that. But I also think we have to be really careful about rumors, right? Because right now, every person that dies, there's a rumor on the internet that they died from the vaccination. And just because they were vaccinated doesn't mean they died from the vaccination.
Well, precisely. Well, that's the point about talking about longevity. I mean, I celebrate folks like Dr. Haidt, who lived into her 90s. I celebrate my mom, who's 93, hanging in there, ill, can't talk, which I always say when I look at her, I'm like, I can't believe she can't talk, because if I couldn't talk, I would just jump out the window. But and I celebrate folks with those long lives. But we also have to be clear about life.
Actually, I'm looking at an article right here, and it says he died of complications from COVID-19, not the shot.
Oh, really?
The disease. Well, it says that his daughter said he had been hospitalized due to complications from COVID-19. And at 89, he would be definitely in a high-risk category. So this is what I
okay, well, and anybody who has had COVID is at higher risk of death for any number of reasons. So, again, let's just celebrate the brother. And I mean, that's my thing, is just celebrate the brother.
5:46 in the morning, continuing our conversation with Dr. Julianne Malveaux, continuing to take your phone calls, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. It's radio free, 102.3 KJLH.